We have waiver wire hitters and a few pitching performances to talk about up next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5. As always, make sure to follow and stream us on Spotify. Today is Wednesday, August 10th. I am Frank Sample, joined by Scott White, and let's start with Vinnie P. Vinnie Pasquantino went 3 for 7 with a double dong across the doubleheader here on Tuesday. Scott, I know that you have told people to keep the faith with Vinnie P, but he has been dropped in a few leagues. He's down to 56% rostered. Are you telling those people to re-add Pasquantino?
Well, even before this day, I would have said he was the most under-rostered player in CBS sports leagues, and so it's easier to make that case now when he homers twice in one day, even if it is a doubleheader. It didn't strike out in either game, but that's of course been his MO all along. His strikeout rate is now down to about 15%. Very good, very low for somebody with his kind of power. And I mean, the exit velocities will look great all along. About 92 miles per hour is his average exit velocity. Like if he can continue to make contact at that rate and continue to impact the ball that hard, good things are going to happen. I can't promise that this is the start of it, but I can hope it is. And again, I wouldn't have been too keen on the idea of dropping him in the first place.
All right, I'm going to give you 3 names, Scotty. Would you drop these 3 for Vinnie Pasquantino? Patrick Wisdom, Jared Walsh, and Joey Votto.
I would drop all 3. The only hesitation, I mean, Walsh easily. Jared Walsh, drop him for anybody. The only hesitation would be Patrick Wisdom because he's eligible at third base, and that's been such a difficult position to fill. If you're relying on him as your third baseman, then obviously you can't drop him. But if all positions being equal, I'd rather have Vinnie Pasquantino.
All right, the next 2 that we have here, Gene Segura had 2 hits on Tuesday, including his 7th home run. He's 71% rostered. And Tommy Pham went 2 for 4 with his 13th homer. That's back-to-back games with multiple hits and a home run in each. He has now led off 3 straight games for the Boston Red Sox. He is 61% rostered. And as I mentioned, Segura 71%. Scott, do you think they need to be rostered in more leagues at this point, those 2 hitters?
Yeah, probably. I think Segura is the more interesting of the 2. Of course, he plays second base, a thin position. I mean, I guess outfield's a thin position too. Pham, I think, is, he was so bad in July that maybe that roster rate went down. But for most of the year, he's been kind of a fringe 3 outfielder league guy, and I think he'll get back to being that, especially if he continues to hit leadoff for the Red Sox. Segura might be close to must start. He doesn't have a especially high ceiling, but he's just very reliable at a position where there's a good chance you've been having to just kind of mix and match all year, and hopefully Segura can end that for you.
Scott, we have a prospect promotion coming on Wednesday that I think is pretty interesting. Kerry Carpenter, he's an outfield prospect for the Tigers, and in the minors this season, he's hitting .313 with 30 homers and an OPS over 1,000. He's only 2% rostered. Are you looking to add him anywhere?
I think in deeper 5 outfielder leagues, it's probably worth going ahead and putting in a claim for him. Yeah, he's not a particularly highly regarded prospect, is Kerry Carpenter. Sometimes with these guys who seem to come out of nowhere, they do get a lot of prospect hype right away. Sometimes it seems like, though, it's not until the off season that the evaluators kind of recalibrate their thinking and are willing to treat the guy like a legitimate asset. So, it may just be that Kerry Carpenter, as a 24-year-old, is somebody who's limited to a corner outfield spot. He hasn't quite captured the imagination of the prospect evaluators yet. He did make some swing changes that precipitated this big increase in production. And for the most part, I'm willing to take a chance on anybody who produces numbers this good in the minors. It doesn't always work out, but a lot of times it does. And the prospect evaluators were just behind. And so 5 outfielder leagues, maybe go ahead and take a flyer, but in all formats, you can be scouting Kerry Carpenter and seeing how much he plays, how well he performs. I think he'll play a lot just because it's the Tigers.
All right, let's just get some quick thoughts on these two pitchers. Miles Mikolas, we just got to mention. He gave up 10 runs over 2 2/3 innings pitched at Coors Field, minus 20 fantasy points on CBS here on Tuesday night. And then Freddy Peralta has yet to throw more than 67 pitches in each of his first 2 starts back, and his velocity was down quite a bit here on Tuesday night. What do you think about these two?
Mikolas, the ERA went from 2.92 to 3.50 in one start.
Crazy.
I think he got Coursed mainly. Like 12 of the 14 hits were singles. The statistically, the big thing about Coors is BABIP is way up for hitters, so you can understand just more balls dropping in that big outfield. Average exit velocity against him was 87.1. They weren't hitting especially hard. He was due for some regression, but not this much, not all at once. And for Freddy Peralta, the velocity was way up in his first start back, so I don't know what to make of it being down in this start. I think if you stashed him, it's a good thing he's come back as early as he has, and he'll still probably end up making a big impact for you.
For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, your smart speakers, or anywhere else podcasts are found. And thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. We'll be back again tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.